We have waited 13 years for the sequel to Avatar, and today is finally out. Avatar: The Way of Water has officially released, and I'm here to talk about it. This video is brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. I'm a huge fan of Disney park smells, but what happens when I'm at home and not at the parks? Can I still smell those smells? Yes! Magic Candle Company brings you the best smells from around the world to your home. From riding a banshee to a Hawaiian lobby, Magic Candle Company has you covered with small and large candles, fragrance oils, wax melts, and more. So head down and hit my link in the description and be sure to use code BIGBEAUTIFULDIZ15 for 15% off your entire order. I've been burning their candles and using their fragrance oils for many years, and I can tell you they are fantastic. Again, head to the link in the description and be sure to use BIGBEAUTIFULDIZ15 for 15% off your entire order. Big thank you to Magic Candle Company, and now on to the video. I want to start things off by talking about something that is kind of everybody's talking about with this movie, and how much money it will make in the box office. So, earlier today, Disney, I saw it on Twitter from a reliable source, that Disney had said it had already made more money than Top Gun. I think this is just opening weekend. It made more... It made like 17% more than Top Gun, and Top Gun's the best box office movie. It made the most money in 2022. So for it to be higher, supposedly higher than Top Gun right now is really good. I'm expecting it to make a lot of money. I mean, honestly, if those numbers are true, it's going to do amazingly well. It might even crack $1 billion. I mean, even if those are numbers, even if those numbers are true or if they're not true, it might crack $1 billion. Just because people have waited a long time for this movie. And the showing that I went to, I can't do 3D, especially not for 3 hours. I just can't. It messes with my eyes. So I went to a 2D showing, and there was not a lot of people there, so I checked when I got out of that showing, because the 3D showing was about to start, and I checked the seating chart. That was almost a sold-out showing. And there were a lot of people in the lobby waiting to get in, I presume, to the 3D showing. So the 3D showing and the IMAX showings are going to make a killing, because a lot of people are going to go to those as opposed to the 2D ones, because a lot of people can handle 3D. I just can't. I wanted to see it in 3D, because this movie is stunning. Even in 2D, this is the best. Visually, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Visually, because the Pandora is a beautiful, beautiful world. In the world of Avatar, Pandora, the world of Avatar, and Animal Kingdom, it's beautiful. On screen, it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful planet. So, when you take a 2009 movie and basically, when you take a movie that was made in 2009 and then you update those effects and visuals in 2022, it's gonna look amazing, and it did. The second act of this movie mainly takes place in or around water, and that under-scene shots were just incredible. So, even if you're not a big Avatar fan, maybe you haven't seen the first one, you could still go see it, because it's really not depending on you seeing the first one. As a matter of fact, it really shows you kind of what happened in the first one. In the beginning, it kind of fills you in. So you really don't need to see the first one. Which is kind of weird, because they're trying to make a franchise out of this, so you would want people to see every movie. But for Way of Water itself, Jake Sully, who is the the human in the first movie. He's in the Avatar program, and he's working with Grace, who died in the first movie. He's the one that goes and becomes the Na'vi, and then falls in love with Neytiri, who is the daughter of the chief, the Na'vi chief. The Forest People chief, I should say, because there's different, like, tribes of Na'vi. So, the Forest People Na'vi chief. So, they get married, and they have a family in this one. They have 4 children. One of them is Grace's daughter, but because Grace died in the first movie, they adopted her. And then one little human kid that got left behind when all the Sky People left, after they were done, well, after they got beat in the battle at the end of the first movie, they all left, and there was a human kid that was left behind. His name is Spider. They didn't really adopt him per se. He just kind of hangs out with the family, so he's really not adopted. There's multiple plots in the movie. But the main plot is that the Colonel, who was the villain in the first movie, gets cloned. And he gets cloned as a Na'vi. So, and the rest of his team gets cloned as Na'vis. And, of course, he wants to kill Jake Sully, find him and kill him, because he was the one that killed, or Neytiri technically was, but Jake is the main, he's the main character, so of course he's going to be going after Jake. So that's the overarching problem. And multiple times through the movie, the kids are captured in order for him to try and find Jake, and when that happens, Jake and Neytiri get their kids back, except Spider, who is the Colonel's son, gets captured and gets taken back to the villains, the Sky People. The Sky People are the villains. That's what they call them in the movie. Gets taken back to the Sky People's base, because these Sky People come back to Pandora because they're trying to move humanity from Earth to Pandora. But in the first movie, they're mining for some, I forget exactly what it's called. I don't know if it even has a name, but they're mining for some rare and valuable iron or some sort of material that they can take back to Earth and sell for a lot of money. Which, speaking of that, Avatar has a very good the first one has a very good message, because the main goal that they have is to mine this material and take it back to sell on Earth, and that happens to environments a lot. A lot of animals are forced out of their homes, same as the Na'vi, because people are mining. I mean, it happens with poaching. The second plot, really, the sort of subplots, and this kind of branches out to a whole lot of subplots, but the main subplot is that Jake and his family have to move from the forest with, like, the floating mountains and stuff, the main part of main setting of Avatar 1. They have to move from that to Awa'atlu village and live with the Reef people, because the Reef people live underwater and forest people don't usually go there, so they're going to hide there. And this will look familiar to you because this is the beach and water area that you see in Flight of Passage. Originally, when Flight of Passage opened, Avatar 2 was either supposed to be out or it was supposed to be coming out the next year. So to tie in with that, James Cameron made Awa'atlu a scene in Flight of Passage. And the big whale creature that you see in Flight of Passage is also in this. And that happens in the second act. The second act is beautiful. The water is just unbelievable. And what's also unbelievable is that you we learn a second way of life in Pandora. Because that's what I loved about Avatar 1 so much, is that James Cameron created this life. And he taught us all about it in that movie. And what's also cool is to see the villains, even though they're villains, it's still cool to see them kind of learn the Na'vi way as well. I can't talk about the final battle without going into spoilers. So skip to the time marker on the screen if you haven't seen Avatar 2. In 3, 2, 1. The final battle. So this is the 3 hour and 12 minute long movie. So any movie, I say any movie that is over 3 hours besides Endgame can drag on. And this didn't drag on until the final battle. Because in the final battle, I thought it was going to end multiple times. And the ending was kind of dumb. And that's what retracted a lot of... The final battle detracted a lot of points in my overall ranking of the movie. But, of course, the fact that there was really multiple things. There was cuts from the Colonel and him, which I liked sometimes and I didn't. There was one weird cut to the Colonel, and then it cut back very quickly to the Na'vi, which was... I mean, I liked it sometimes. It got a little bit weird. The editing got a little bit weird, but there was cutting from the Colonel and what his team was doing to the Na'vi, and that was fine. But the final battle, it was fine in the beginning. So the way that the final battle happens is that the Reef people and Neytiri and Jake go to defend the creatures, the Tycoon, because they don't want them killing them, because the Reef people, those creatures are very sacred to the Reef people. And of course, Jake and Neytiri's kids are captured again. They get captured like 15 times in this movie. So I don't know what was going on there, but they got captured a lot. So they have to save them, and they have to defeat the villain, which they don't. He gets away. This is a major spoiler, so please, if you haven't clicked off yet and you haven't seen the movie, please click off right now. One of Neytiri and Jake's son passes away. It dies. And they have a very touching kind of memorial to him at the end of the movie. That's how the movie ends. And then it happens again where his daughters are again captured, and they're on their base, and the base is going underwater, and the kids have to save. The daughters get freed, except Jake is fighting the villain, the Colonel, and Neytiri is trapped in this one room, and she can't get out, and the water is rising. So the kids actually have to save their mother and father, which is cool. And the Colonel lives because he's probably gonna be the villain in all 3 movies coming up, because Avatar, there's supposed to be an Avatar 3, 4, and 5. I'm really hoping that there's a new villain after 3, because it was really dumb the way that they saved Colonel from not dying. So Spider saves Colonel, and he just kind of he just flies off on a Banshee. It's like, couldn't you cut to the Colonel, like, swimming away and flying away on the Banshee? It's really dumb for the main character just let him go like that, especially when Spider's supposed to be a hero and not a villain. Like, it really seemed like it was just it was just a dumb way for that character to live. And honestly, if the movie ended after the son passed away, I would not have these complaints, because after the son passed away, that was about in the middle of Act 3, and they had a whole, probably, I don't know what time it was, I'm not checking my phone, of course, I'm not looking what time it was, but it felt about like this battle was about an hour long, and it felt after the son died that there was like 20 minutes left in the movie. And when it's a 3-hour movie already, you can cut that a little bit. And that whole last part of the final battle, nothing really happened. So you could cut that. Welcome back, people who didn't want spoilers. What I was saying is that I'm not going to tell you the spoiler, of course. But the main negative of the movie that I want to talk about quickly before I end is the almost rehashing of the first one. And the main thing that I don't like, the main negative of the movie to me, is that there are a lot of things that happen in this movie, and a lot of them don't lead anywhere. Obviously, there are things that happen there was a lot of cliffhangers for 3, but I hate when franchises do that. That was the main part of why Artemis Fowl sucked, is because it, instead of trying to make an actual movie, it tried to set up a franchise. But luckily for Avatar 2, there was a lot of good to balance out the negative aspects of the film. But Avatar: The Way of Water is an incredible movie. Like I said in the beginning of the review, visually, it is the best movie I've ever seen visually. The visuals for this movie blow Avatar out of the water. Because Avatar was made in 2009, so like it's not going to have perfect visuals. This is incredible. I mean, this has to win it. There's no way this does not win an Oscar for visual effects. Like, this is probably the best movie, not only that I've seen visually, but the best movie of all time with visual effects. This was... Pandora just looked incredible with it. I mean, it looked like they went to Animal Kingdom and just filmed there. I mean, then that's a testament to Pandora, the World of Avatar's brilliance. It's like Endgame. There was no part, except at the very end, that I was bored with. There was no part that, well, there was one part that dragged on, and that was the end, and a little bit in the beginning. So my official ranking of Avatar 2 is an 8.8 out of 10. I was going to give it a 9.5. Like, I literally have it written in my notebook right here, well, on the other page, but 9.5 out of 10. But that was written before the end. And listen, go watch the movie if you really want to know why I really didn't like the end of the movie, and then come back and watch it, because I can't talk about it because it talks about the spoiler and it talks about the very end of the movie, so I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but that's the reason I don't like it. That's the reason I didn't like the end. But 8.8 out of 10 for Avatar: The Way of Water. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know down in the comments if you have seen the second Avatar and what you thought of it. While you're down there, leave a like and consider subscribing. It would make me a very happy man. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody. Avatar 2. What's the deal with